Alright, so today tires, we're going to be tying a glass beaded Crippled Hendrickson. Size 12. It's tied on a U001 Tiemco hook. And I like this fly during the middle of a hatch where there's a lot of duds on the water. And this actually comes out pretty good. It really attracts them. Okay, so we have the glass bead on. And like I said before, what I like to do is I like to give it a little bit of a curve on the shank. So it looks like the body is actually curved and is trying to wiggle out of the shuck. And I just push this away from me nice and easy, like such. And you can see that it creates quite an angle. And then I pull it towards me a little bit. So when I tie it, it's a little bit easier. The next step is your thread. And I start in front of the bend, and I wrap considerable amounts over it. And then I come back to the tie-in spot. Now the tie-in spot on this for your trailing shuck would be a little bit down the bend of the hook, and I'll show you. You place this on like this. Of course, it's always pinch wraps. And you just bring it right down into this area right here. Trim off your excess. Lay your scissors flat on the shank of the hook. This gives it a nice clean thing. It doesn't leave any, and you'll find that it saves time. I'm a commercial tire, so time is everything. Now I wrap this thread down to where I want my dubbing to start. And I give it a final trim to make it look like a trailing shuck. It's usually on a little bit of an angle, a little bit ragged. Don't be fussy with it. And that's your trailing shuck. All right, so the next step would be placing on the dubbing. One thing for beginner tires, thin is better. And the reason is that you don't get bumps and it won't spin around the shank of the hook and get lumpy. You want it nice and thin so you can create a beautiful noodle and a nice cigar-shaped thing. And just wrap it on like this. Go back to your tie-in spot for your trailing shuck, and then work forward. Okay, and add a little bit more here. When I get to the front, I like to make it just a hair bigger, and the reason is that I can sock my wing in nice and tight to the body. It makes it look really nice. So you can see there, it's almost like a cigar shape. It's nice and even. I wrap forward, I wrap backwards. Everything is nice and tight. All right, so the next step is put on the wing, and you use that nice medium done poly. And I like the wing to face me because the bend of the shank went the opposite way, so it really gives it a crooked look when it's laying on the water. And this is easy. It's a nice pinch wrap. You come down, sock it in, and let her go from there, and then trim off your excess. And I like to lift up to get the wing to go to the side. Now remember, this is a cripple, so you want your wing to be facing sideways. You don't want it up right like you would on a normal fly. So I tie that in, and I wrap behind this to give it room and to really secure it, to give it room for your hackle to go on. And I just give that a rough trim because we're going to fix it up nice once we get the hackle on. Okay, so the next step is placing the hackle on. So I place it behind the wing, and I wrap in like this, and I give it 2 secure wraps, and I advance it forward and catch that little stem of the hackle so it's really locked in good. And advance your thread towards the glass bead. Okay, so here we go. We're going to give it a wrap. I pull the wing forward and wrap. That's 1. This is 2. And the next one is coming up and going back and forward to advance it to the front of the wing. And this is 1, 2, 3. And I hold it up this way. Pull your hackle fibers away from the glass bead, and then just your sock down with 2 or 3, whatever you feel comfortable with. Trim it off like such. And I try to stroke the fibers back a little bit, and I hold it with my fingers, and I give it a couple of tight wraps to secure everything. And then I just whip finish. Okay, now you come back in and you do your final cleanup. You secure your wing, get it upright the way you want it. Trim off any fibers that you don't want. And now you form the wing. So the wing is always going to be on a little bit of an angle. So I trim off any of the ones that are straggling out. And I just give it a trim like this and a point like this. And there you have it. It's a simple tie, but a real effective fly. If you can see right here, the nice bend on it. So it does look crippled as it's coming out. And it floats good. Catches lots of fish. All right, so now casting this fly is the same as anyone. I like to do it during the middle of the emergence or even before it. And what makes it so effective is that it's considerably different and it's an easy prey. Fish like to go after something that they think is easy to get, and this is a struggling insect to get out of its shuck. So it's very effective. Now, when you do cast it, a lot of times because of the glass bead, it may land with the bead down. No problem with that. All you do is just lift your rod tip. It'll straighten it right out and let it drift like you do a regular fly. It is very effective. You're going to have a lot of fun fishing. It's taken a lot of big fish so far on the Farmington River.